Hey, what is going on everyone? Welcome back to the Fire Emblem Three Houses Blue Lions Maddening Mode, a low turn count playthrough. I am Mekkah, and as usual, I'm not playing, I'm just commentating. Today, on the menu, we have Chapter 16, 17, and 18. No paralogues. Chapter 16 is a Kill All Commanders chapter, and it's much more interesting than the Rhea paralogue, for example, because the commanders are more spread out. And as a result, it's a little harder for most playthroughs to get to all the bosses. Not impossible for this one, of course, which is why we're going to do it. But even in a 0% gross playthrough or a casual playthrough, this should be possible, although a bit harder. But you can see, for example, we're not using the full range of our warpers, only warping a couple tiles, which shows that it is indeed possible. Now, there are 4 commanders total available on this map for the killing, although we only see 3. One of them is Lava in the bottom left of the map, and she's the hardest one to get to because she's the furthest removed from our starting point, which is why we're going to use a bit more measures of mobility to get to her. Another boss on this chapter that we don't get to see is Aggro. He appears along with his troops in a diagonal line, roughly from the point where Sedith and Sylvain are parked, getting ready for a Dance of the Goddess. He appears at the earliest at turn 1 enemy phase, and we're going to finish on turn 1 player phase, so we're not going to see him. Then there are 2 more Paladin bosses in the top left, one of them may be reinforcements. The one that's already there is, well, he would be Ferdinand von Eyre, but for us it's going to be generic since we recruited Ferdinand. The other one is Lawrence Hellman Gloucester. I don't have too much to say on the strategies of this chapter, so I want to real quick get into Lawrence's re-recruitment. If you have Lawrence in your team on this route, then he will abandon you until you get him back in this chapter. And there's a rumor going around that you can only get him back with Byleth, but in fact you can get him back with anyone defeating him. This is a common misconception that this gets repeated a lot on the internet because people just state it as fact and just copy it. But I asked Rengor and he killed him with Sedith in his playthrough, for example, on 0% growth. And he still got him back. Not that getting Lawrence back is very important to our playthrough since he doesn't really do anything. I think he gambits a couple of times and that's basically it. Anyway, as you can see, Sylvain with Felix's adjutant is going to be the one who kills Lava. To get there, he is being helped by a dance from Bernadetta as well as a reposition from Dimitri. We use Dimitri for reposition because he's already level 31, but the other Wyverns need to be prioritized for XP since they need to reach level 30 for Wyvern Lord access. Sylvain is using the Ariat bar, a legendary lance that Dimitri received in chapter 15. It would be his lance, but you know, we just give relics to anyone who wants them, and as usual, they're pretty effective with swift strikes. On the top left, Lawrence finally appears. Coincidentally, we do end up killing him with Byleth, so I can't show that what I just said is correct, but you're just going to have to trust me on it or try it yourself. But yeah, you get the option to persuade him or kill him. And of course, we choose persuade just to complete our collection. And then finally, we use the Spear of Azal on Ferdinand Substitute, and that is chapter 16 completed in 1 turn. Let us move on to chapter 17. Chapter 17 is the second ground or field battle, and if you're unfamiliar with it, you might wonder why it's so much shorter than the first one. The reason for that is because the objective is different. The first one was rout, and the second one is just kill both commanders, Edelgard and Claude, and that is much easier to accomplish in a lower amount of time and turns. So Sylvain is going to be the one who kills Claude, and the way we accomplish this is we stride with Hilda as usual, then we do a triple warp to get him in position. Now you don't actually need a triple warp for this. A double warp would be sufficient with proper optimization, and I can't really explain how this would work because it's very complicated, but I'm going to leave you with the excellent notes compiled by Aggro Incarnate, who has been making pretty much this entire commentary possible by detailing exactly how everything is set up and works. So if you're curious, check out the description, because I'm going to remember to put the paste bin there, hopefully. Now, with Sylvain in position, all he has to do is use Swift Strikes with his Iron Lance Plus, and he'll get the job done. And in the process, he will get to level 30 and allow himself to qualify for Wyvern Lord. And all we have to worry about now is the other boss kill, which is going to be Dimitri versus Edelgard. Not for story reasons, but because Dimitri is the only one who has the attack threshold to kill Edelgard. He needs 45 strength. Dimitri is pretty strong in general, but our Dimitri is rigged and a bunch of guarding stat boosters have gone his way. And for that reason, for example, we needed other units to be rigged strength to reach the thresholds because Dimitri needed pretty much all of those. For example, Caspar, as an adjutant, has been rigged some strength. We set up an interesting formation here for Dance of the Goddess. Not only is this necessary for Leonie to do her thing, but also for Gilbert. He has been reclassed and certified for a Paladin, so he can use the Blessing Gambit, which is on a grounded battalion. Blessing prevents a unit from dying to a single round of combat, kind of in the way that a Guard Adjutant does. And this is very useful. Byleth doesn't really need it. She's just chipping herself down to get this Brave Bow and get her battalion to 1/3 health. This allows her to activate another interesting mechanic, which is Battalion Desperation. Not a very common skill. We've been using Battalion Wrath and Vantage a lot, but Battalion Desperation is new here. What it does is it allows you to double attack as long as your battalion is on low health, and this double attack will occur before the enemies gets to counter. You do have to double in the first place, which is why not a very common skill to be seen in Maddening, but it does have a situational use, and because of that we're able to get the Lamppost shield from that Paladin, and between that and the Brave Bow we get all the treasure worth getting here. And then it's just a matter of positioning Dimitri and killing Hubert for the fun of it, getting another good level up, actually reaching B Flying, which is going to increase his chances significantly next month for Wyvern Lord, ups it by 20%. And then it's just one dance away from killing Edelgard. Blessing was really for Dimitri's benefit. Byleth was bulky enough not to need it, but Edelgard has a bit of crit on Dimitri, and this way we improve reliability quite a bit. So by doing it this way, we prevent Edelgard from using Raging Storm on our units repeatedly and getting multiple kills. Instead, we just straight up get the kill with Dimitri. And that's the second grounded field battle in one turn. Let's move on to Chapter 18.
I must retreat from...
Chapter 18 is when we get to go full meme, because the objective is so laughably easy. It's an Azure Moon exclusive map, but it really doesn't show any kind of map design incentives from the developers. Cornelia, the only boss you have to kill, is at the top of a platform very close to the starting point, and it's very easy to get her just about anyone up there you want, so we're gonna meme a little bit. We start out by striding using Dimitri in his exclusive High Prince class. He just got that last chapter, and he's not going to do anything else besides his stride, so might as well show it off for a little bit. And then we warp a net towards the middle group so that we can cast Sacred Shield on Gilbert. Sacred Shield requires a little bit of explanation probably. It has been mistranslated from the Japanese version to the English one. Our description reads that it makes you immune to ranged physical attacks, but it actually makes you immune to all ranged attacks, including magical ones. That is quite the difference, and it's going to make tanking in this chapter a lot easier for Gilbert. And it also works really well in, for example, the final chapter of this game. We usually use warps, not because we have to. There's other ways to get our units to the middle, but warping gives our warpers some XP, so it is worth doing. Or the ones from the red group are to get Leonie in range of Annette so she can cast Retribution, more on Gilbert than anything else, so that he can counter some enemies on enemy phase. Felix, Setheth, and on the left side Caspar are going to engage in self-improvement. In Felix and Setheth's case, that's to get to level 30 for Wyvern Lord, as always. And Caspar just wants to reach 32 strength before we're going to do his paralogue. And because we had to give our Rocky Burdocks to other units like Dimitri, there wasn't any room for giving any to Caspar, so we need to rig his level ups, and this one attempt, for example, is an attempt to rig his strength level ups. We're going to make a smaller Dance of the Goddess formation on the left side here. This time, Byleth is carrying around the Dance of the Goddess as a paladin. Once again, that movement that she has is totally overkill in this class, and we just kind of went with it. But she doesn't have anything better to do anyway, so might as well.
What's my strategy?
In the middle of the map, you can see a bunch of Titanuses standing around. These guys drop Argothium if you break all their shields. And if we have more deployment slots, especially around the middle, we might have been able to get some of them. In Edelgard routes, Argothium is very valuable, as it can let you repair the Amir and abuse Raging Storm to hell and back. We have no need for such repairs. The weapon we repair with it is the Devil Axe, which we've been using for both memes and some serious attempts at routing paralogues with like really high attack. In the end, these didn't end up coming through, so you don't see as much Devil Axe as was originally routed in, but it is there occasionally. Rengor liked the Devil Axe a lot. Even though it doesn't have the backfire rate in this game, it's just still a really funny weapon. You might remember back in the Ingrid paralogue, we actually went out of our way to get the Devil Axe in a one-turn clear, even though we clearly didn't need to. Anyway, as you might have noticed, Gilbert is a Fortress Knight. He's using the Bolt Axe against the Swordmaster and miraculously connected and critted against him. Gilbert is doing this half for memes and half because it's useful. He does want EXP to get to level 30 as well for Wyvern Lord, but most of what he does in this chapter is just for funnies. He actually has Dimitri's battalion with him, the wave attack, that he can use on the Satanus, which almost breaks everything. So we were like 1 slot removed from getting the Arthgothium. But what he's really doing here is positioning himself in range of the boss with Retribution and Sacred Shield activated as a Fortress Knight. And now he has the Freikugel equipped for like massive damage. Three Houses is one of those weird games where the boss in a kill boss map moves before any other enemies, so it can just cancel the enemy phase altogether. For Gilbert's sake, we didn't really need to because he's so tanky to begin with. But for this boss battle, I have no words. I have absolutely no words. That's chapter 18 completed in 1 turn. We'll see you next time.